Thank you so much for having us here and allowing us in to have this conversation, which is very timely and important. One of the things that I have to ask you, Dan and Deb, why do you wear a mask?
Well, we're wearing our masks to protect others. It's really hard to have a team of 120 people and keep them all separate and safe. And I don't think everybody understands, but if you have sick team members, you can't make beer. Beer's made by people, for people, and we need healthy people making it. So we're taking every precaution we can. We've had a lot of near misses. I just got off the phone with somebody right before I came here where their daughter had tested positive, but she's okay. And you know, it's just gonna be a drama, I guess, for the year till we get it resolved.
Yeah.
But we're pretty far apart. I was thinking about maybe taking mine off. Would that be all right?
I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're doing our distance.
We're doing our distance. So honestly, I can't think of people in Wisconsin that I know more of their ethos, because this is the first time we've ever met.
Right. Sure.
But I know more about how you feel emotionally than anyone else. It's like being behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz right now.
Oh, that's hysterical. Well, I hope you've heard something that's true.
Oh, I hope I've heard something that's true too. But you have built so much here in this community of New Glarus. Are you from are you from Wisconsin? Tell me a little bit about the background.
Well, I was born in Milwaukee, so I am from Wisconsin, 4th generation, and I'm pretty proud of it. But Dan's from San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm a Californian. But now I've lived in Wisconsin longer than I have California, so.
Okay, but that still doesn't give you, like, I know how it works in small towns.
Not
like,
how
you're
it works.
still the outsider.
Yeah.
But he's married to me, so
Yeah, that works.
And
That
he
keeps
makes
it tight.
beer,
Yeah.
so you just got him in.
Excellent. What brought you back to Wisconsin?
I mean, I'm from Wisconsin. This is the best place on the planet, and I wanted to come back here and raise our kids. And Dan had worked a series of jobs building breweries for other people, and then the most recent one before this was working for Anheuser-Busch. And we're just not corporate people, and we're tired of moving around. And I felt like if we were back here, that I understand the marketing and the people, and that I felt like we could start on a shoestring and people would respect that and, you know, give us a shot. And I knew he could make really great beer. So luckily this warehouse, not this piece that we're in right now, but next door, the guy who owned it came on as our first investor and traded me stock for occupation of the building for a year. I raised a little over $200,000. I negotiated for some used equipment at a SBA foreclosure sale up in the Fox Valley. And just like everybody else, got going with cruddy old used equipment and dairy tanks.
Sure. That's fantastic. And it's grown into this iconic brewery. I mean, people, you can read stories, and I'm sure you've seen it, about bars in New York bringing in barrels of Spotted Cow, or in Minneapolis, you know, being shut down and persecuted because the demand is so high. It's one of those things that people associate with Wisconsin. Yeah. What's that feel like? Creating a cultural icon.
It's totally surreal, don't you think?
Yeah,
it's just
well,
like,
you know,
we don't think about it.
We've been doing this for 27 years, and still when we walk into a restaurant or a bar, I still would say, look, they're drinking Spotted Cow.
Yeah.
So for us, we exist only on the good graces of our customers, so we're always flattered when people choose us. So it's pretty cool.
It really wasn't our goal. I mean, our goal was to make world-class beer and take care of the people around us, and that's still our goal. And then wherever it takes us, it takes us. But we thought if we got to like 8,000 or 10,000 barrels, that'd be really great. One time I told a guy who writes books that if we hit 30,000 barrels, shoot me. You know, I mean, this is not what
now
we
we're like
envisioned.
240,000
Yeah,
barrels.
it's not. It wasn't our vision at all. And so we're just still doing the same drill of trying to make world-class beer and take care of the people around us.
How has the COVID pandemic helped in that philosophy, like taking care of the people around you? And you even said that when I asked why you wore a mask.
Yeah.
How has COVID affected you?
It's really incredibly stressful because I don't want to sound, you know, sappy, but these are people we are with every single day, and we care deeply about them, and we're joyous when they buy houses and have babies and take vacations, and that's the fun part of the relationship, right? And then you work next to them every day and you just know each other. And the idea of that we're just gonna write off 2% or 5% of our people as like, well, we'll just move on. We'll show up at their funerals, we'll write a nice card, we're done. Like that doesn't sit very well. And so we made the decision to cut way back on production, close all of our public areas, which is a huge financial hit, and run 3 teams so that people can be separated and safe. And whatever we can make is what we can make, and we'll just take the financial hit, because there's no way with 120 people that you can be in charge of what they do in their private time, although they have gotten some very pointed emails from me. And so far, so good. Everybody's been safe, and I'm very grateful for that. But if something does occur, if something tragic does happen, we need to know in our hearts that we did everything we could, everything within our power. I'm gonna stand at somebody's hospital bed and look them in the eye and know that I did what I could.
But what does COVID mean for the brewing industry?
Prior to COVID, there was already a huge glut of breweries. There's over 8,000 breweries in America.
And 2,000 in planning.
Yeah, and there's, I don't even know how many thousand worldwide, all coming to America. So there was already a huge glut, and people were aware of it. People who have pub operations start to really hone in on the excellence of their food, which I think is good and goes hand in hand with making great beer. And so, that works out for them. The idea of trying to distribute beer has always been really hard. And every once in a while, someone will come to me and say, well, you got in on it when it was easy. And it's like, no, I got in on it when they were like, what the hell is a craft beer? Yeah. I mean, so no, it wasn't easy. I still had to go out and sell the beer on the street myself, and that's still how it is today. So in some regards, once you get the table stakes, I call it, of you have to have a beer where it's low air and it's consistent flavor and shelf stable and something that people want to drink, then getting the distribution is pretty simple. But that learning curve is steep. And it takes a lot of years to get to that point. And so smaller people who have taken good care of their community and they have their support, which is, should be every small brewer, they're gonna do just fine. They're gonna come out of this. People are taking their beer home. Like for us, we're selling less beer. I mean, 40% of our sales was draft, and we lost it like that. I mean, and certainly it's not getting made up by people taking 6-packs home. Right. But, we're gonna be okay. And that's what I think is gonna happen with craft brewers who really paid attention to their craft and making great beer. People who are the pseudo-craft, the contract brewers, people who aren't doing well in their local, or regional area, and they're like adding territory and now they're international, they're gonna really struggle, and some of them are gonna go under. But, I mean, it was a bubble and it was gonna burst anyway, so, the industry overall, I think, is going to come out of this shining. Sure. Because the idea that you're discussing earlier of people want to know where their food comes from and the transparency and quality and all those things, that's what craft beer has in spades. And certainly people are tired of big international conglomerates and mediocrity, and they're looking for something special and something they have a relationship with that brings them comfort, and that is beer.
Yep. How do you see the COVID crisis unfolding across the state? Because you two are you have a strong reach in that cultural iconography. What are you seeing or hearing from people in different pockets?
Well, the problem is that it's been politicized, which is unfortunate, because as brewers, as producers of food, we understand microbiology. It's something that we deal with every day, and we understand how contaminations happen, and therefore we can understand how it happens in people. And Wisconsin has been very, very lucky to this point. And so this human nature is that when people are lucky, they get complacent. And they don't understand that it's luck, and their luck could change at any moment. So being in Greene County, for example, we're basically socially isolated to start with. And what scares me is that I assume that when summer came, a typical virus influenza would go down to nearly nothing, but that's not happening. And that scares me, because when fall comes, as happened in 1918, we may see a bigger spike. And people becoming sick is one thing, but what really scares me is people suffering and dying. And it's particularly insidious virus, because most people don't know they have it, and that's a very clever virus, because something like Ebola, you get it and 2 hours later you're dead. So it's somewhat self-isolating, obviously, but with this virus, it's really, really dangerous. So it's true that we have been lucky. It's true that the death rate is going down. It's true that we're catching more infections because more people are being checked, but that doesn't mean that we should become complacent, because there is a knife hanging over our head. And I know from experience with microbiology that once you start to ignore things, you often get hit cold-cocked. And that's my fear, particularly when fall comes.
Sure. Do you have feelings that you're gathering from other parts of the state, different people that you're communicating with, about just the depth and the seriousness and the need for social distancing, or the feelings of complacency about social distancing? Are you hearing different stories?
Well, what I hear mostly is from people who are running businesses, and it's really, you're between a rock and a hard spot. I mean, in regards to any kind of assistance, went to Wall Street and went to big corporations, it really didn't trickle down like we had hoped to human beings and small business owners. And so, like, one thing that just happened recently in a place close to us is somebody they're running their business, they came back, they were sick, they needed to make money, and they stayed open. Well, so that infected 40 people, and then those people have to go get tested and stay away from work. And so the cost of one person just trying to pay their bills cost many others too. And the reason that, I'm not in despair, because people in Wisconsin do talk to each other, they are paying attention. There's an article in our little paper that came out today from somebody a tattoo artist in town had gotten it and was sick and intubated, or whatever they call it, and then they have to learn to swallow and all that again, and she's not that old. But she recovered. Thankfully she recovered, but it took months, and she's not back to where she was. What do you do when you're a small business owner and all of the protections for small business have ended? Because that's what those Supreme Court cases were about. So, there's no unemployment, there's no business assistance. So, we're all gonna lose our houses? That appears to be the road we're going down. And all I think is that if we're all careful and we wear masks, we can overcome this. It's a simple action. And hopefully everybody, stories will get out quickly and people will buy into it and protect each other.
Sure.
We're finding that our customers, the taverns that we visit, most nearly everybody that we meet is dead serious, and they're following social distancing and masks and washing hands.
Takeout.
And doing takeout, and they're saying, I cannot afford to be sick. If I'm sick, I'm going to lose my business. Yeah. So they completely understand. So I think another reason why Wisconsin has been blessed as far as this COVID epidemic is because we've done a good job of social distancing it, and in general enough people taking it seriously.
You had mentioned shutting down all the public-facing components of New Glarus Brewing. Were there other steps that COVID prompted you to take, or differences in maybe production schedule or some of the seasonal releases? Does any of that vary because of the pandemic?
Well, yes, we've done a lot of things, and this was very difficult. One thing is Deb, as the president of the brewery, she's very good at forward thinking, and when this started, she recognized that this wasn't going to be a 2-week thing. So the first thing that she did was we stopped selling draft. We stopped making draft beer because the taverns had closed. She reassured the tavern owners that we would take back partially full kegs and give them credit so that they know that they wouldn't be out that money. And then we're mainly a 2-shift operation. She moved it into 1 shift and split the teams into the brewers into 3 teams. The gift shop staff, the staff that would normally work in the gift shop, because now the gift shop's closed, the hospitality team, that team moved in and became brewers, which they're doing great. But so now we have 3 separate teams, and each team does not interface with the other teams, and so it's only a single shift a day. So we're only making more or less half as much beer as we used to be able to, but each of those teams is completely separated, and therefore they're really only working part-time, but we're paying them for 40 hours a week. So they're getting their pay even though they're at home social distancing, and the reason that was done is because we don't want to lose these highly trained, talented people, so we want to keep them with us. So they're working part-time and we're separated, which means that communication between the meetings is by Zoom, which is very awkward and uncomfortable, so it makes it very difficult. Some of our seasonal brands that take a lot of effort to make, and we had to cut those out, so we're...
All the R&D are gone.
Research and development, scientific work that we're doing has been put on hold.
Travel.
No travel. And of course, everybody that comes to work is required to wear a mask, and we encourage them to wear a mask when they're out in the world and not to go into crowds.
Take their temperature when they come in.
Yeah, we take their temperature, and then if somebody calls in sick, or they're not supposed to come into the brewery if they feel that they're sick, and then they go get tested for the virus, and they're quarantined until they get a negative.
Sure. How have your employees responded to some of these changes, like the changing of hours and splitting into 3 teams, and probably training, which I know as a business owner takes time and takes financial energy, and
different muscles, different thinking.
Yeah. How have they responded?
They've been great.
Sweet.
They're proud that we're doing the right thing. It's very, very uncomfortable. We all feel out of balance, irritable, irritated, afraid, unsure. Of course, a lot of our employees are hearing mixed messages in the media. This is real, this is a hoax, and so they're unsure. So, but they've done a good job of following Deb's lead. And I think most people, everybody is just happy that they have a job and that we care enough that we're
keeping
doing
their
the right
full-time
thing.
hours and their insurance, and then they're not working full-time hours.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment on your behalf. It really is.
It is nuts. But I don't want to lose any of them, and I know that it's ridiculous, really. It'd be easy to just say, I don't need you guys, and lay people off. And certainly that would be financially advantageous. But what's money for? Money's a tool. It's here to take care of people, in my opinion, and that's what I'm doing with it. And we're going to be good. We're going to be fine. If this takes a year, we will be here. I am just that bullheaded. We're not going anywhere. Fuck you, COVID.
Yeah.
We're here.
I love it. What opportunities does COVID give a business like New Glarus Brewing that maybe were obscured prior to this?
I think one thing that's happened through this unpleasantness is that we've always had a close relationship with our team members, and I think that this has probably strengthened trust both ways because we rely on each other. We're sink or swim together.
Yeah.
So they can see that we're putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and we can see them buying into what we're saying, so our trust is being strengthened. Yeah. So that's probably the only good thing that's come out of it is a feeling that we're really blessed to have just wonderful people working with us.
Sure. How much love goes into the the beer here.
A lot. You can feel it. You can feel it.
Well,
there's a Japanese word for it.
Yeah, there is a Japanese
We don't
word.
know
I
it.
can't. I have it written down, but yeah.
There's no Swiss word for it? I mean, come on, it's Glarus.
That's the interesting thing about cultures is people. It's funny when you learn a word from a different culture. It gives you a glimpse of how those people think. But there's a Japanese word that discusses the energy that goes into something that's made. The maker's mark is more than just a stamp on it. It's the energy that gets transmitted from the people who manufacture something. And so you can, when you taste a food in a restaurant that's well made, you're tasting the passion and love in the chef and the manufacturer or the farmer that made the food, and down the line the food that got to you. And it's the same with beer or anything. A well-made car is a work of art, and I think that's true.
Well, as a restaurateur and as a chef, being able to meet you and being able to sit down and gain a little insight. Your beer has been on my tap since the day I bought my restaurant.
Oh, thank you.
I do know that. Thank you very much.
And it is a point of pride.
Thank you.
Being able to connect with people and give them the experience that we are here, we are relevant, we hear you, we see you, but we love you. Your beer helps a lot of us say that to the people that matter the most to us.
Yeah.
And for that, I am so thankful. It's been an honor to meet you. And
Thank you.
Well, we had fun talking to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Masks up?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Luke.
Back to work.
Thank you.
Yeah.